The voice of Louisiana Paintball is here. From the bayou shadows where the hunters creep to the airball. Please. We are more than a game. Feel the rush in your veins. From the mud to the turf, we bring fire, bring pain. Swing it down, hear the sound, let it echo loud. Louisiana Paintball, stand proud. Stand proud.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Paintball Lounge, where today I have a really special guest. I got the guy who coaches not only Red Legion, but AC Diesel, and he is one of the, I guess you could say, hosts of the Coaches Show, Ryan Gray. Welcome to the show, man.
Zach, thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, finally, I've been wanting to get like you on the show, and it's like crazy. There's like so many crazies going on, and I was like, come on, like gotta be a good time. Finally got
It's
you on
tough.
here.
It's tough right after an event. It's really hard, especially with the coaches show and the way that schedule works. In fact, we were supposed to have an episode last night, and we couldn't lock our guest in time. And then and again, coming out of an event with my job with Red Legion, it takes me a couple of days to get all the data put together and then sent to the ownership and coaching and staff. So yeah, I don't have a ton of time right after an event. It's really really.
No, man, I understand completely. I mean, you're a busy bee. You're like one thing after another. And by the way, man, congratulations on winning Tampa. That was crazy. Like,
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great win. I don't feel like we played very well, but yeah, overall, I mean, it's always nice to win a tournament. There's a lot of things that have to go your way in order for that to happen, especially when the group as a whole is not playing really well together.
mhm.
It takes a lot of things to win.
Right. 100%. And I think one of the guys was on PTG and Spick a Span. I can't remember his name, but
Thomas Hara.
yeah, Thomas Harris. He said that it was his first time playing with y'all. Exactly.
Yeah, so part of my job with Red Legion is recruiting. So I have a list of guys, and usually in the beginning of the season, it starts with it depends on the year, but like 12 to 15 guys that I'm kind of watching. Some of the names, of course, fall off if I don't see improvement or I see drama in their social media. They'll fall off the list and then new names come on, right? I'm blessed that I get to be a part of Team USA. So I use the combine also as a way to kind of look at what's coming, right? The next sort of generation of players. So I use the combine like a combine, right? So, and then I have my own outside list. I watch players in Europe. In fact, we have a young guy coming over, hopefully in after May, that will be joining us from Norway that I've been watching for the last 4 seasons. So Thomas actually worked. He's from here in Oklahoma. He worked for me Avid Extreme Sports Park. He and his brother both. And so I've known him and his family for a really long time, and kind of watched his development sort of from D3, and then into semi-pro for the last couple of seasons with KC Missouri All-Stars. But he didn't go to World Cup. So I called him, I don't know, probably right at the beginning of December, maybe mid-December. And again, like I look for certain specific things about players, not just how good they are, but I want to see that they have a good supportive family. Again, no drama. Like if I see a bunch of chaos on social media, that kind of pushes them out right away because that's just not who we are as a group. And then also their lifestyle kind of has to fit what our demands are, and our demands are deep, right? We want guys to be in Florida for 6 weeks, right? So for every event, our guys have to show up in Florida, report to Florida 6 weeks prior to the event, and begin their training. So anybody who plays with us has to be able to work remotely, have a lot of space in that remote schedule where they can commit to the training that we're going to do because it's 5 days a week, 3 days during the week itself, and then both days on the weekend, individual training in those 3 days during the week, which lasts about 2 hours. And then they get like 2.5 to 3 hours off, and then they go to the gym. So they do get some space in there where they can work, but
Mhm.
it's tough, right? So they have to have a really supportive family. And Thomas, when I called him to ask him sort of what was going on, why didn't you go to World Cup? He kind of shared with me that he was sort of burnt out by the travel and the process of going back and forth from Oklahoma to Kansas City. And then he kind of finished it with like, and I want to coach. I had not really played with a team that had a coach. And I'm like, man, this is the perfect thing you could say to me. I was like, how about three coaches? We have Alexi, who's our head coach and runs our Moscow program, and then Max, who's our head of player development here in the United States, and then me, right? So we have three coaches, and we all have very specific roles that we fill. But I'm pleased that Thomas went to the training program, and really in those first couple of weeks, he wasn't great. He was pretty good, but by the fourth, fifth, and then the 6 week leading into the event, Thomas was ranking. He was ranking in the top of our metrics, and we felt very confident that he physically and tactically could do what we needed. Then it was sort of feeling out what the emotional things were going to be when you step on the field, especially his first event being in Raymond James Stadium, his first match being in Raymond James Stadium, and having Keith Brown and Mouse in front of you, and that's who you're battling with. We were a little bit concerned about that, which he erased in the very first point, of the
Right.
match. He erased all sort of concerns. So Thomas did the work, right? I'm so blessed that I got to find him and give him kind of be the vessel that gives him the opportunity. But the reality is the young man went in, has the right mindset, discipline, and attitude around the opportunity in front of him and has taken full advantage. He will now, not only did he set records at that first event, being the first rookie to ever win an MVP in the pro finals, win the kill count leader, Golden Barrel, the CK Contract Killer Award.
So he
He will
did. So
also
he did. So he did won that.
Yeah, he got a headband. I don't know if that
Okay.
means he gets a key in Florida or
He
not. We'll
better.
see.
He
Yep,
better.
I hope, right? But then, but he's going to be one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid rookie ever.
Okay. Hey, I mean, I when I saw him on the field and I was watching at work and everything, and I was watching everything like because looked at the roster and I see him and I was like, this is a new rookie. Let's see how he is. I was just like, what the fuck? Like they really Red Legion just this is gonna be the year. This is gonna be Red Legion's year. Like if this kid keeps on playing the way he's playing, he's going somewhere.
Yeah, and not to mention, right, getting Sergey back, who was on injury for 3 events last year. And then we add Corey Hall in the offseason, who gives us a little more depth. Jamison Stanton is really coming around. Eddie Vasquez is really coming around. Like our young guys are really stepping up. And then again, to add depth with the return of Sergey and having Corey Hall. Yeah, I agree. I think we're really, really, we're much more dangerous than we've probably been in the last 5 years.
Dangerous. If honestly, it's like my coworkers were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not okay because this is scary." Like this is Red Legion back in the day when they were, unstoppable. They were that team that were going to be unstoppable, and I'm like, this new version of Red Legion is like an upgraded version, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So, how did it felt on Thursday playing in the actual stadium? Like, you got the jumbotron and being on the football field, sort of. And how did that felt? Because
Yeah, we
I
kind
bet that
of,
was nerve
so
wracking.
no, it wasn't. It was humbling. It was humbling. I've been, this is my 33rd year in paintball. So I've been able to see kind of all of the evolutions that we've been through, right? went to World Cup in 1997, and that was my very first one. And in my mind's eye, that was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen. Right. But now, and I've been to Huntington Beach. I've been to all these kind of amazing venues. And it was special in a different way, but it really felt like a professional thing, right? Thursday morning, we played the 3-on-3. It kind of felt like that skyball, like we're playing paintball in a venue. But then at night, right, when I kind of told this story on our show, on the coach's show, I'm getting my iPad ready. We did the national anthem, and there was no time really to take a moment, right? They rushed us back to the tunnel and then rushed us out to do the national anthem, and then like we're immediately going back to the pit to prepare to play the game. And I'm standing on the sidelines, and I getting my iPad kind of all set up for the match, and I get everything done, and I kind of flop my iPad under my arm, and I look up, and that's really when it kind of hit me, right? The crowd, the noise, the jumbotron, the ship, right, the pirate ship up there. That's when it kind of hit me that, like, okay, this is something special. This is different. So really what it felt like is it was just incredibly humbling. It wasn't nerve-wracking. It was just another match, right? To be
Mhm.
honest. But it was special, right? Like, I'm not on social media often, but I made a post that morning and just said, first of all, thank you to all the Major League Paintball people who made this happen, but also to all the athletes. Like, make it a performance that you can be proud of, right? Like when you
Right.
leave, just make sure that you're proud of the performance, right? Because this is a moment in history for paintball that is a weighted moment. It's big. So,
Yeah. If you're liking this episode of Behind the Marker here on the Paintball Lounge, please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, comment this video, and share this video with your loved ones, your friends, your family, and let's grow Louisiana paintball so everybody can play paintball every Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, whenever you have the time for. Okay, and let's get back to our great video.
big. So
Yeah,
when we
without
left,
doubt.
like win or lose, I was proud of the performance, right? What a match. What a match.
Trust me. Oh, trust me. I was showing people like that is happening right now. And even some of my friends were like, you wish you were there. I'm like, honestly, I do wish I was there. But if I ever play a stadium like that, I don't care my performance. It's just the fact that, you're playing at a football stadium and not to like, I still feel bad kind of for the people who owns the Sprayman Stadium because they're like, oh,
No,
this it's not like,
it was great. There were like 10 hits outside the
oh, okay.
field.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
was awesome. Yeah, Major League Paintball crushed it. So the netting was like 30 feet. It was super high. Yeah, it was like 30 feet in the air. They brought in boom lifts, and the corners of the field were lifted on these boom lifts. So it was like the netting was crazy high. And Jason
Damn.
he crushed it with the layout. We're really the only place really where paintballs were gonna go over is off the top of that center can, right? As guys
Mhm,
were running up, if you're shooting a little high and it hit the top of that can, those more than likely went out.
mhm.
Other than that, for the most part, the netting was close enough to the Doritos that if you were to shoot it off the top of a Dorito, it more than likely hit the net. Like maybe if you shot it at the right angle, you could get it to go out, but I think you would really have to be trying. What I hear, I think Tom was on PTG today or maybe yesterday. So there's an episode out there where I'm sure he's talked about this. My feelings from talking to the people at Major League Paintball is that it went really, really well.
Yeah. Hopefully, I probably Tom did probably talk to ESPN about it. That would be really cool to, like,
They were there.
get Oh, they were?
They were there.
Dang, and, like, I'm missing out on a lot of things now.
They were there. We had 3 different major networks on site.
Wow, that I definitely can't wait for their magic of how that's gonna turn out once they, do all the editing and everything because I know that takes a long time.
No, no, these are people who want to, like, do a different show. Not just buy that one maybe, but do a different one. In fact, you'll probably hear some more information coming out really soon about stuff that's gonna be happening in Dover. Yeah. You probably hear some stuff coming really soon. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can't wait to hear that because I still can't get it out of my head. I still can't get out of my head like the teams that and the players that you know, at LAX with, even Jesse Stevens and all of them. They were like, damn, I can't believe my boys were literally playing at Raymond Stadium late at night, and it was just wow. It it's just like, even at home, I was just taking the moment. I was just like, wow, this is fucking awesome.
It was really neat.
Bad man. I wish I was there, but I had to work and everything. Gotta make the money so I could play and keep this podcast up and running.
Game.
Yeah. So let's get started about your backstory. Like you say you've been playing for about 33 years. What
I've
got
been
you
in
into
paintball
it?
30. Yeah. So I've been in paintball 33 years. I don't play very often anymore. When I go out now, it's usually just to play recreationally, like scenario games, those kind of things. I have a weird kind of introduction to paintball. I got in trouble when I was a young man. I got into a fight at school and I was doing community service at a church, and the youth group was going to play paintball while I was there mowing the grass. And the youth minister came over and asked me if I'd like to go play paintball, and um, convinced me to go. I went, and I kind of fell in love with it in that moment. And after that, it was kind of all I wanted to do. I was just saving money for kind of the next gun and the next thing. And then turned 16, got a car, and my buddies started playing with me. In fact, two of the guys that I literally have known since I was 4 years old. And then another guy who's we still hang out with regularly. We do a bunch of four wheeling and off roading together. We started playing, started working at a local field, and then started playing tournaments together. And then we all kind of went different directions with teams. I was traveling down to Dallas a lot to work out down there because that's where the best players were. We had good players here in Oklahoma, but it wasn't there was just a handful, right?
Right.
So I would travel down to Texas as much as I could, and then finally had an opportunity to for our group called the Hooligans to merge with Texas Storm, and the rest was history.
So okay, so did you since you've been playing like into sport for that many years, like did you ever went pro? Like
For
was
sure. Yeah, yeah. With Storm, and then I played with Bob Long's Assassins for a bit, but we were called Philly Assassins. It was pretty bad. But yeah, we won the pro spot in
sweet.
like 2004, and then we played 2005, 2006. We played pro. But it was I was a good player, but I wasn't a great player, right? Like I'd hit this point in my career where I kept I would build players and then they would go play with other pro teams. Then I would build players and then they would go play with other pro teams. So I didn't have enough time to really work on my own game, right? In fact, I had an opportunity to go play with Bob like in 2002, and I kind of regret it. Although like my story would be totally different if I would have done that. And I'm blessed to be where I am. I've really loved coaching, and my introduction into coaching at the professional level, or coaching period, was in 2006. I coached the Naughty Dogs at World Cup. It was my very first professional coaching experience, and we got second to the Russians, who beat the shit out of us like 14-2. So I started my career in 2006 coaching at World Cup with the Naughty Dogs against the Russians, and I will finish my career with the Russians, more than
Eh,
likely.
yeah, I mean, hey, and I think you're doing a phenomenal job. I
Thank
really
you. Of
think like especially when you were with AC Diesel, and I don't know if you remember me like being at LAX, just
course.
being the kid.
Yeah.
And when y'all were practicing with the Hurricanes, like I see, I mean, yeah, there's been Mike Bianca, I mean, but I was also watching how you're coaching the Diesel, and I'm like, man, I hope he gets like somewhere different because your
Yeah.
style of coaching and Mike Bianca's style of coaching is just like one of my top coaches of all time, and that's genuinely coming from my heart. And
That means a lot. And very two completely different styles, right? Like Mike and
yeah,
I, that's why I think we mesh so well. with our
Without a
show.
doubt.
Yeah, because like I believe the game should be played at this really high tempo, right? With constant pressure, constant movement. I think there's beauty in the choreography of a high tempo game, right?
Mhm.
Whereas Mike really sees the game in this very technical like methodology, right? Where he really wants all these systems to kind of be working in conjunction with one another that builds out this like really also kind of beautiful picture of the way the game is supposed to be played. It's just two different visions, right? Like, and I believe the game is supposed to be played one way. Mike believes it should be played another. And the reality is we're both right. We're both right. It's just putting those systems and processes in place to make that way successful.
Yeah, y'all both have your own unique way. It's the same process, just a different unique way. And that's why every time where I keep an eye on who is coaching who, and every time I see a match is between y'all two, I'm like, okay, let's see who would win this time. Like I'm always
Yeah.
betting, like I'm always flipping a coin, like who I want to win. As always, believe it or not, I always do the whole heads to tails thing, and it's always y'all. It's always y'all. I'm like, okay, I gotta go for it. I'm
We
like,
haven't played each
wow.
other very much, right? Like Mike and I haven't faced off very many times, but I think Mike has me. I think he's winning, but I don't know because we literally, I think we've only played twice
Yeah, y'all have played
in
twice,
our whole
and
coaching career. I like it, like in the pro league. You know, I got back into the pro league in 2023. I don't know that we've played each other more than twice.
I think y'all did play just twice, but it's like, all right, flip the coin. Like,
Yeah,
who should I root for this time? And I'm
yeah,
like, all right, let's see how this goes.
yeah, yeah.
But it's just y'all's coaching style is just phenomenal, and I just love it, and especially
Thank you.
now, yep, y'all got the coaches show. So, what's the story about the coaches show? Like, who
So
started it?
as well, me,
Okay.
Mike didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. Like he had no interest. So as Mike and I really became really good friends at LAX, really is where that happened, right? Like I brought Notorious in our semi-pro season to play the Hurricanes as much as I could, right? Especially after I got to know Mike, and it literally that first meeting with Mike, like he and I are like calling things out to our guys from the tower. And it was so funny because a lot of the things that we're saying are the same thing, right? We're trying to get to the same place. We were just going in different directions trying to get there. And we started kind of talking about like our our vision, right? And kind of what our process looked like. And it was so similar yet so different, right? Like the timing of the process was the same, but how we got there was different, right? So I kind of like, from a friendship perspective, sort of fell in love with Mike as a friend, like within our third meeting. You know, like I was like, okay, this guy and we're going to be buddies, right? He's
Mhm.
intelligent. He's got a really sharp mind for paintball. He loves it. So it was end of 23. I knew I was leaving Notorious. I knew I was leaving Notorious in the third tournament of that year because I had made a 3-year commitment to them, and
Mhm.
that was going to be the end of that 3 years. And there was just a lot of chaos with the owner. I didn't really want to be there anymore. I felt like this is as good. We were as good as we're ever going to be last year when we won World Cup. We're never going to be
Mhm.
that good again. It's time for me to go away. So I didn't know if I was going to coach. I really wanted to take the next year off. Like I had been going hard for 3 years with Notorious. Was also coaching in Europe at the time. So I really wanted to take a season away. And then I started talking to Kevin Fillers. We were doing this really bad pre-show at the events. Like me, Shane, sometimes SK and Mike, we would go and sit in this Major League Paintball booth and do this pre-show. And it wasn't good. It was really, there was no scripting. There was no like, no pathway to the show. It was like we were just kind of throwing this information out there, and being personalities. And the content itself just wasn't great. And then I started Mike and I had had many conversations just about how few resources there were that were available to coaches, right? There's all this content out there that's directed toward players and teams, but there's nothing out there for coaches. I knew that from early, like when I started really coaching, there were very few of us. There weren't a lot of coaches at that point. In 2007, when I started coaching X Factor, there were probably of this, I think there were 16 teams at the time, maybe 12. Of
Wow.
the coaches though, or of the teams, there were only like 7, 8 coaches. That was it. Uh, so it was a really small group. Well,
That is
then
very small.
it was very small.
Yeah.
In 2010, when I started coaching, rebuilt and started coaching Texas Storm again, there were even like it felt like less resources and less like teams that really had a full-time coach. There were a handful that did still, but there wasn't like I think there was still this idea that we don't really need coaches. Well, when I came back in 2021, kind of came back in the semi-pro division, I started noticing like everybody now has a coach. Everybody, like divisional teams have coaches. Everybody's got a coach, which was really excited about, right? Because I think coaching is a critical part of our game. I think it's, without a coach, you really have a ship all rowing in different directions, right? If you think about the way the Vikings rowed, you have this ship with, these 10 guys on it, and they're all kind of rowing at different paces and different tempos and, different cadence.
Hmm.
Anyway, so I kind of brought it up to him like, hey, we should like, let's do a podcast. And he was like, no, like, that's not really who I am. And so I started talking to Kevin Fillers, who's the Major League Paintball CFO. I was like, hey, I really think that we should do this podcast, right? Like, and it would be cool if Major League Paintball wanted to be a part of it. Like, you guys are looking for content. Maybe we could do something together. And I just kind of threw it out there. That was at the 4th event. And then I kind of left it alone. Well, then about 3-4 weeks before World Cup, sorry, that was before the 4th event when I told him that big break. It was right before that big break that I said, hey, like we should try to do something. Right after the 4th event, I just made the decision, like, we're going to do this show, right? Sorry, right before the 4th event. We're going to do this show. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but we're going to do this show. So I told Matty Marshall, he called me to talk about, I don't remember maybe Notorious. Yeah, I was still Notorious. Talk about Notorious and then what I was thinking for the off season. And anyway, I told him, I was like, listen, I want to start this podcast and I want to do it with Mike Bianca, but he doesn't want to do it. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to help me convince Mike Bianca that we need to do this podcast together. So literally like on the webcast during a match, like Maddie stops and says, so I hear you and Ryan Gray are going to do this coaches show. this podcast, like totally directed and focusing on coaching and coaches. And so he kind of like trapped Mike into being like, yeah, right. So anyway, Mike, after the event, Mike finally succumbed to the pressure and said, okay, let's do it. So I like within a day, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. So I know how to get all the things necessary to put things in place. So I immediately went out and got an EIN, got everything we needed to get our articles of incorporation signed and sealed and filed with the state, and then got all of the URLs that I wanted, started researching like podcasting equipment. I mean, I had it done within like 3 days. I had the whole show kind of built out. Like, this is what it's going to sort of look like. And when we first started, it was like this pre-recorded thing. It wasn't live, which I love the live concept. It's much, much better. I think it's more intimate, right? Because you get to
Hmm.
interact with the chat and people who are coming in to hang out with you. I think it's just more intimate, an intimate setting that's it's just more, it got more value.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, so that's how the coaches show really got started, is I sort of like conned him in using Matty Marshall.
The fact you did that is crazy because I know Mike was on my show and which was awesome.
I
And
watched it. Yeah.
I think people told me that he was a little like, that he like people like when I was trying to interview a hurricane player, everybody's telling me to go with Mike. And I'm like, okay. I didn't know him at first. So I was like, because I was so used to like Stu. and Drew Bell and all that, but like, no, let go with Mike. I'm like, okay, you know, but I guess he wised up a little bit. Like, okay, yeah, let's go into it. The fact that
Again,
you caught
I think he just succumbed to the pressure, right? He just was
the
finally
fact you
like, all right,
caught him so
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, and that's how the coach's show was born. Like it was pretty
Now I know
great.
what to tell him. Like, if I
Yeah.
see him back in Louisiana or Alabama, like, hey, how did it felt like, getting conned by one of your good friends?
Yeah, yeah. It's and I think he really wanted to do it. Just he has Mike's such a busy guy. Like he really is. He has with his job he's got a large family. He's very active with his family. Like he's very involved. And so he's got a lot going on, right? And there was some guilt, just to be clear. There was some guilt about, doing the show. And I've even like we've taken time away a few times where I've just said, "Hey, get rest," right? Like we don't have to do a show this week. Like it's not critical to the survival of paintball if we don't do a show this week. Like just let's take it off, man. Get some rest
Yeah.
and we'll talk about it next week. And he's done that for me too. Like again, for the most part my life day to day is pretty simple. I sell large commercial insurance, which is very taxing, but the reality is I'm busy for like 7 months out of the year in my regular life, and then the uh, the rest of it is kind of tied up in paintball, right?
Right.
So, which is organic. I can move that schedule around anytime I want. So, my schedule is a little bit different, but basically from as soon as World Cup's over until March the 27th, which was just a few days ago, I'm buried. Like I have all of my largest clients all renew during that time period. And then I've added several more that also, unfortunately, all renew during that time period. So I make like 70% of my income for the entire year during those times.
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm nonstop during that time period.
And hey, like I said, you're a busy man. The fact that you can balance it out, because I cannot do that. Like, is you're doing commercial license? That's just,
No, commercial insurance. I
sorry,
like,
commercial insurance.
yeah. Yeah. So like large construction companies, like one of my larger clients is like a $20 million concrete company. And then I've got a $35 million company that does like retrofitting for metal bracing. Like they
Wow.
do a lot of it in New Orleans, actually, where they come in and put fortified strap systems on homes, buildings, that kind of thing. And they're a massive company. They operate in 30 states. So they're a nice client to have. Well, the majority of the stuff that I deal with is from a premium perspective is like the small people are $10,000 a year. And then like my big ones are, upwards of 150 to 300,000 a year. On one $300,000 client, like I make $45,000. So, but it takes me 3 weeks really of pretty hard work, hard sitting in front of a computer staring at,
That
sheets,
is pretty
but
hard work. I don't care what
it
people say.
can
That is
be.
pretty.
It's mentally
It hurt.
taxing, right? Like
Yeah, and
going
it
through
also
all
hurts
of
your
the
eyes.
coverage. Yeah, going through all the coverage information. It's not hard work, to be clear. Like I have blue collar friends that would be beating the piss out of me if I said that. It's not hard work, but it's a lot of time and energy that goes into it. So, but that provides me all that other space throughout the rest of the year to be able to do all the things I want to do with paintball.
Right. And honestly, you gotta do what you gotta do. And it's very, hey, tip my hat to you for, balancing out. I mean, I know having that much on your plate, that's
And
just,
it's just those months, right? The rest of the year is much easier.
yeah, it's,
Yeah, it's
even
much
if it's
easier.
like a whole year, like, I mean,
Hmm.
that's a lot on your plate. Like, dang, man.
Yeah.
But
And then the
so,
coaching stuff, I travel like 80 days a year. This year, I'll travel 80 days. My normal schedule is like 94 days. But my
mhm,
son is getting married, my daughter's graduating from college, so those times where I'm gonna miss some time because of that.
mhm.
But the Red Legion is awesome about that. They were like, "No, those are really important things. We'll see, like, what day do you wanna fly in?" Not like, "Okay, the wedding's on this day, you gotta be here on this day." In fact, the wedding My son's wedding is on Sunday, and I'm flying to Cincinnati on Monday. And they were like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to get there and do my job as quickly as possible."
Hey, tell your son I said congratulations, as well as to your daughter, graduating
Thanks.
college and now he's getting married, awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, I agree with you. I'm glad that the Red Legion's not like most people, I would say. And yes, and people know me, know I like wrestling and everything because wrestling is like that. Like they are like, okay, you have this event, you gotta be here there. You gotta be there. And I'm like, yeah, good thing that they don't do that.
Yeah, they don't. Like and again, it's a very professional organization. Like you do your job and do it really well, and that's all you worry about. Like you don't worry about, do I need to pick up things there or do more over here? You just do your job, do it really well, and don't worry about anything else.
Right. So, how do you feel about like now Major League Paintball has a plus now? They went to the plus and they're getting more exposure because back then we were just having, Go Sports and maybe some YouTube, but it was not as much as growing. Now is like Major League is like having a lot of channels. Like you got the coaches shows, you got in the pits and all these things. Like, what do you think your input about that?
Yeah, I want more. Like, in fact, that's something I've tried to help with. Trying to find regional. So, like in the pits, being kind of that Texas, Oklahoma, like Southern market show, and mostly revolving around a large tournament series, right?
Hmm.
So, there's USXBL there. I really would love to have a West Coast show that is revolving around WCPPL. I'd love to have somebody in Florida doing a show kind of revolved around the USXBL there. I'd love to have somebody doing something in the upper Midwest around all the blast camp events, which are really starting to grow. And then another one in the Northeast with like Ninja Ball. And there's some great tournament series up there. And I really wish we had more regional
Hmm.
podcasts that were kind of focusing on the storylines that are happening in those events,
Hmm.
because for multiple reasons. But one, it's important that we continue to keep eyes on Major League Paintball on the channel. It's great for when we go. When I say we, I'm not a part of we. I'm just trying to help push this thing forward.
No,
But
you're good,
when
man. You're
Major League
good.
Paintball goes to an ESPN or a any kind of streaming service and says, "Hey, we've got 300, I don't remember how many now, 360,000 subscribers on this channel. Maybe it's 269. I forget the number.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's
We've
okay.
got these hundreds of thousands of subscribers on this channel. We need to also be able to show activity, right? We need to be able to show that there's things happening there, and there's constantly a constant movement, if you will, right?
Right.
And the channel itself becomes stagnant, then we have a problem, right? In fact, like one of the things that I feel like they're really missing out on is shorts, right? Being able to create shorts that are constantly being run on YouTube as people are searching for things to watch. Like, I don't think there's enough shorts being done. Just again, just to push more content out. There was, the guys from UFC were doing it for a little while, right? Mike and Brett, and they're no longer with Major League Paintball, which sucks because I thought they did a
Damn.
really fantastic job. But like we need somebody to be doing that if we want to continue from a media perspective, continue to drive forward, right? So for me, I think it's fantastic that we have activity on the channel. I wish there was more.
I agree 100%
This
because
video is brought to you by Pelican Paintball here in Metairie, Louisiana. If you want the best paintball gear to get in your local Louisiana store, I would recommend heading up to Pelican Paintball. They have everything you need to play paintball, airsoft, ultimate frisbee, you name it, with mask and guns, hopper, you name it, and they have it all. And if you use TPL10, that's TPL10, you get 10% off of your entire purchase. So go to Pelican Paintball here in Metairie, Louisiana, and use TPL10 for 10% off of your entire purchase. And now let's get back
I
to our
agree
video.
100% because when we were on Go Sports, watching, ICPL, and there was a lot of tournaments out there that was on Go Sports when it was, I guess you could say simple because it always had that list and says categories or something like that. And there's like different events showing off like, different areas, like one in Texas and, all these areas. And I wish that, we had that as well. I wish that, Major League will have that as well because the fact that, it's because some people want to go play it. Some people want to go play the West Coast or Texas or Florida. And I just know that
I see what you're saying.
it's, yeah, I think it's because like MVPS, they do their stuff on Twitch because it's easy. It's easy to do on Twitch and because sometimes YouTube can be a little um picky. It can be very picky. Trust me, I know. But I do that is one thing that I wish that Major League would do, like, show more around the co- y- ah, United States and show more paintball, like different content so the viewers can actually watch it and be like, "Oh, this is I might want to a plane ticket to, Florida or California and check it out."
The problem with that is those series all run their own thing, right? Which
Yeah,
they're getting paid to do. They're getting money for those things, especially if they do put them on YouTube. They're getting checks. So here's the other thing. I will push back a little on that. I think Major League Paintball, as far as Major League Paintball Plus or Go Sports is concerned, should only be concerned about things that are happening at Major League Paintball and the NXL. And that's it.
there you go.
Um, and to be take it one step further, in my opinion, things that are marketed and branded as Major League Paintball should only be the professional league. Things
Okay,
that are in XL are the divisional things. Those things, I would agree, those things need to be highlighted in a different way on its own separate channel, which is what they have done, right? It still plays on Major League Paintball, but on its own stream, which I
right.
think is really important. It's on its own stream. And if you go look at those streams, they get lots of views, tens of thousands of views, right?
Yeah,
Because
I've
people
seen
go
it.
there and watch that instead of going and watching the things that happen behind the paywall. And the reality of the paywall is it's like a necessary evil. If we want to have Red Dragon cameras and cable cams, we want to have real, cinematographer people behind the cameras, and we want to have a real studio where Darren is pushing buttons and flipping switches that are where he's really producing the show as it occurs. Unfortunately, right now, because nobody's paying for it, we have to have a paywall for that, right?
Right.
Have to. Kind of the same scenario for all the leagues that put their stuff out on YouTube. If you want to go back and watch it later, if you're a good coach, you're going to do that. You're going to watch ads, right? You're going to have to watch some ads. And when you watch those ads, they're going to get paid, which I think that's important too. Do I think that like maybe there should be a way where Major League Paintball can use their channel to help those leagues? Absolutely, I do. And probably necessary, right? To create really the kind of activity I think is important for the channel. Wouldn't it be
Hmm.
awesome to have WCPPL on Major League Paintball? Wouldn't it be awesome to have the USXBL and MVPS and where there is some sort of profit share from Major League Paintball, the channel, back to those tournament promoters for running it on Major League Paintball? I think that would be a fantastic idea. I don't think there's anyone to manage it, nor do I think that it's even on their radar at this point.
And honestly, it should be because, especially when it comes to, I'm going to say this because Paintball Fit is Frankenstein. They're Dr. Frankenstein. The amount of ideas they come out, and I'm watching on Facebook, and you know, I'm watching it like the glow ball, the hard point. Now I'm like, I see all that. I was like, holy crap, hard point!
Global
Like,
hardpoint. That's what they're doing now.
yeah,
Global hardpoint.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I will love to see that on YouTube. I would love to see that on YouTube because it's not a bad thing that they post it on Facebook and everything. But sometimes, mostly people watch it on YouTube because not only is the ads, but it's more clear or it's just a bigger
Yeah,
platform. And I
right.
think they should be on YouTube for it and on Major League because that would be not just money back to, Paintball Fit, but the exposure would be like, whoa. And
Yeah. Again, we
as
just
well
have
as
to
the
be really
shorts.
you just have to be careful with like what we show, in my opinion, what we show
Mhm.
on the channel. Like if because then somebody comes to an event, right? They come to a Major League Paintball event and they expect to play glow ball hardpoint, right? So there has to be some consideration for the product itself, right? Like
Right.
how are we marketing our product correctly to the right people? And don't get me wrong, I think all that kitschy stuff is so cool, and any way people can be playing paintball, I think is amazing. But from like Major League Paintball really needs to be focused on what Major League Paintball is selling, right?
Okay.
Which is the professional dream.
Right.
The NXL is still the divisional side of what's happening, has a different responsibility, right? They need to show that that product, which is very similar to the pro product, is appealing and appetizing, and you want to come here to spend your money.
Yeah, because it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
No, no, it's
It's
not.
not cheap.
Very expensive.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And that's why when you said about the shorts, I agree 100%. Even I do some short videos of, Louisiana paintball, try to show off as much as I possibly can. And it's not easy to get the shorts right because you got to make sure that not only the frame of what you're trying to show, but you got to make sure that, it's good. Like it's not going to be like dull or something because running shorts is very, very difficult. And I will know how many times I've tried to go back on the video and be like, that might be good. And then I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's not good. So
You know
I
what's
do
funny
believe,
though? Like in shorts, is it's the shit you think is terrible that takes off.
I know.
Again,
And it's
like
like,
verbal
really?
verbal said this better than I mean better than anybody. He's like
It's
the
verbal.
number one video I put out at one point was a guy who was loading and a bunch of paintballs fell out as he was loading. He like missed the loader with the pod, and that one got like 1 million views. It's
Yeah.
like
Even
it was the
Nightmare.
dumbest video, right? But it was like people loved it.
It's even Nightmare Paintball. Shout out to him. Like he does paintball fails, and I see some of his shorts, and I'm like, this is some funny shit. Like, why do we not have this on American Funny's video? Because it's just funny.
I tried so hard to get Chad Yaya to do like a 10 worst moves of the tournament show, like do a whole show around the 10 worst moves of the tournament, and I just couldn't convince him. He would
Uh,
have been awesome.
he would have been. I would agree 100%. He would have been awesome. Just be like the paintball version of ridiculousness.
Yeah, just all silly.
Just like have him just be like, Rob Dyrdek, and you will have like the pro players like just sitting on the couch and be like, "Hey, let's watch this mistake."
Right. Yeah, or maybe it's somebody falling or, whatever.
Or someone tried to do a crazy move and just went, "Oh," he went tumble down. So it looks like not a lot of people are like giving us questions, but we do have a comment from our boy Drew Bankston said, "If my mouse will work, I'll put it up here because I shout out to him." Coach Gray is a modern day not.
Nostradamus.
All right, guys, shout out to you, Drew. Always being a knucklehead.
I
But
love Drew.
when you're coming back to LAX? I bet you miss it.
Don't know. I do.
I bet you miss it.
I do. I miss the food.
I knew it. Drew's
Miss
food. Shoot. Let's go. All right. So on this part of the podcast, let's put me on the hot seat. So if you got questions, lay on me.
totally. What got you started doing the podcast?
So I was actually post COVID, and I was, like laying back, just minding my own business. And it was actually watching, the ultimate shootout and see how we, came after COVID and everything. And I was still bummed out a little bit because the fact that you couldn't play much and things were changing because everybody was still being a little afraid to go outside. And I was just like wondering, what can I do to get back to Louisiana paintball, the sport that actually saved my life? And my girlfriend, shout out to you, babe, because I gotta give her credit, all credit is due for this one. She's the one that told me to do the podcast. Like, why don't you do a podcast? You've been playing the sport for a long time, and you have knowledge about it. Why don't you do a podcast? You know, coming from a guy who has Asperger's, it was very challenging.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going ahead. Might as well. So I literally was going through so much names. White paint splatter podcast, horrible names. It was just literally name after name after name after name of what kind of name this podcast. So I was watching ECW back in the when it was 1995 when they were still in the Pennsylvania, in the Philadelphia area, in that no AC area, and I hear the chant calling ECW, ECW. And I was like, I want something like that. Wants 3 letters that I can rock with and rock with that. And that's where TPL came from, or known as the Paintball Lounge. So, and everything else was history. Like I just like you, went through, got the equipment, didn't get good equipment at first. It was literally earbuds and like now it's known as Spotify creators, but it used to be called Anchor. And that's what I was rocking with on my phone. And now I upgraded from my cheap microphone that you get from Five Below to this one, and rest is history.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. I see you have Paintball Command as one of your supporters.
Yes, I do. I go there a lot. And that's actually where I started. When I started playing paintball was my birthday, around when I was 15 years old. And my sister, the guy she was dating during the time, said, "Hey, why don't you bring your little brother to go play paintball, for his birthday?" And we went to a command in Mandeville. I shot my first Titman 98, and then I went upgrade to a Invert Mini. And I just started loving it ever since. Like, I did take a big break from it for a while, then came back around, I have to say, 2016, 2017. I came back, and I was just playing every weekend, weekend warrior, and started playing for, my friends were during the time say, "Hey, let's build a team." And I say, "Sure, we'll just play around rec ball, maybe play a couple tournaments." And I still keep on loving the sport.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Charlie and Kathy are two of my favorite people.
Charlie's Charlie. He's still
Mhm.
Charlie. And I think he's doing a great job with Mandeville. Just wish that he will, get more games in, like be a little bit more creative. But I understand from a business standpoint, you got to please the crowd who do come in and they're like, okay, there's a new game, but let's see if anybody else will play it. So I understand about the business standpoint.
So when I worked for National Paintball Supply from like 2000 until like 2009,
Hmm.
changed at that point to Key Action Sports, which is now back to GI Sports. But anyway, I had Louisiana was part of my territory. So I had like Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, New Mexico, Colorado. I spent more time in Louisiana than any of those other places because of people like Drew and Charlie and Kathy, and I loved it there. Like I would come to Louisiana as often as I could. Like just the people and the food and love for paintball. Like it was just a different environment. I don't know if Charlie will remember this, but he might. One of the first times
Probably.
I ever came one of the first times I ever came out there, I'm on the road, and this was really like I had a cell phone, but they were like those. It was like a Nokia. It was terrible, right? Like terrible cell service. And on Highway 10 there between, gosh, like once you get east of Scott, Louisiana, until you get into New Orleans, like there's very little cell service, right? Because it's all swamp. So I'm calling trying to get a hold of him. And then finally, when I did get a hold of him, I ended up being really close. And I was like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm literally driving up to the causeway now. Like, where do you want to meet? And he's like, hey, I got this, great spot, serves the best po' boy sandwiches you'll ever eat. Let's meet there. So he tells me kind of where it is. And he's like, it's kind of hard to find. I'll meet you off the highway. So anyway, I go across the bridge, go toward the field. I pull over where he is. He takes off in front of me. We get to this place. I swear it's like a metal tin building with like a metal tin door with just 2x4s around it. He opens the door. I literally am like, what are we doing? This cannot possibly be a restaurant. This has to be like somebody's shed, right? We go in and it's like a full blown thing inside this shed, right? Like full blown restaurant, fryers in the back, little, cold table where they're throwing on all the fixins, dirt floor, by the way, in the area where you order, dirt floor. So we walk in, we order the sandwiches, and like you don't eat it. There's no place to eat inside. You walk out and sit on your car or whatever. So I had a big dually truck that National Paintball provided, and so we went and ate on the back of the big dually truck. It was one of the best sandwiches I've ever eaten in my life. After that, anywhere Charlie wanted to go eat, I was like, "Yep, we're going there. Yep, we're going there." I trusted him with and Drew took me to some amazing places to eat too around his spot. So I
Yeah, we
loved the
have
food.
yeah, we have the best food. I mean, but he makes the best
Agreed.
food. He
Drew
makes the
is
best food.
awesome. Yeah, his food is amazing.
I'm surprised he hasn't became like owner of a restaurant because his food is just amazing.
It's
Like
the
I
worst. Owning a restaurant's the worst. I'm so happy he doesn't because I like him so much. I don't want him to
sure,
own a restaurant.
sure, yeah. I mean, I think yeah, it was Joey from I Hate Paintball. I think he works at a restaurant, and I believe he told me that, and he told me it's the worst. It sucks. And I'm like, yeah, probably so. I believe it. Especially Drew. He just messaged here saying Ryan
Yeah,
was
I
my
remember
first.
that.
He said, Ryan's my first paintball sales rep ever. I want to say circa 2K1, maybe 2K2. The original owner of LEX let me put a pegboard display case on one of the end of the shop trailer, aka Gator Paintball Supply. Damn. You know, it's just shocking that, you were the kind of the representative, like for all the guys who are now sponsors the paintball lounge. That's amazing.
I
Like,
was, yeah. I traveled around like Rocket. I mean, I was coming out there when Rocket Games was still in business. I mean, I visited the whole area many, many times a year and made lasting relationships with kind of all of them. I mean, Maddie and I still, when I see him, just takes me right back. Right. So it's, yeah, paintball's a kind of a beautiful thing in that way where our community is sort of always connected no matter
mhm,
what's happened. And that's one of the things I love about events. Right. I have a conversation with somebody and then we pick kind of right back up where we left off at the next event. You know what I mean? Like, even if we don't have a phone conversation or whatever, kind of just pick right back up where we left off from the last event. And it's a really kind of special, beautiful thing about our community, right? The way this silly thing works. It's really tough now, like with Red Legion. I just have so little time. We don't like to be at the field much with the guys. Like, we want them at the hotel as much as possible and away from the event. We want them kind of relaxing and because the amount of focus we want from them when we start playing is like we want everything they have. Does that make
right.
sense? So like
That
we
does make
we don't
sense.
and we don't want them at the field really at all if we can keep them from it, which makes it hard on me because that means I'm not at the field as much as maybe I'd like to be just, catching up with people but yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I'm I can't wait to one day I go to an NXL event again for this year and, just wear this and see the people who I interview with and you as well and be like, "Hey, what's up guys?" Because, especially seeing, some of the guys like Nick and Ryan Greenspan and see hey, they recognize me.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be awesome. But it's just how great the community is and
It is, and
small world.
I know that all of the people who are putting out content, like, want to support everybody who's putting out content, right? Like, I never say no to coming onto somebody's podcast. I may say not right now, like we have to do it a different day, like you and I had to do,
Yes,
but I don't ever
but it
say
was
no.
reasonable answer. It was a reasonable
Yeah,
answer.
I don't ever say no. Like I always tell people, yes, I'll come on. Just we have to work out the day and the time, but yeah, I'll never tell people no because to me, I know what it takes to put it out and all the work that goes into it. Like with the coaches show, like we do, and again, because we're connected to Major League Paintball, we have to create marketing. So I have to put things out by like 10 a.m. on Monday, and sometimes even I'll do things like if we're having some sort of special episode, I'll put it out like on Friday and then tease it again on Sunday, and then I got to put it out again on Monday. And the way they've done the meta back in now, you can't schedule the things if you want to tag people in it. So you have to
Right.
literally go in and set it up and tag them. And then if you want collaboration, so it's kind of I know what kind of work goes into doing a podcast and putting it out, doing a good job. So yeah, always be supportive.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's a lot of hard work to put in this podcast, like any kind of podcast, because you also just you got to do the hashtags. You also got to like make sure that it's getting to the right sort of audience that you want
Hmm.
to capture, and it's just could be it is a very time consuming
Yeah.
but the outcome is always amazing. Sub Doc. If you don't know who
Hey,
Doc is,
oh,
he's Doc. Like he's one. Doc is actually one of the guys who's the social media of Spick and Span. He was my last
I know who he
interview.
is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
like
Doc.
Doc, everybody who does content and who is trying to manage it and everything, it's just
I
I
think I
just give
still owe
nothing but
you a
respect.
jersey, Doc. Do I still owe you something?
Oh,
I feel like I do.
but
Wanted
y'all
a Thomas
just give
Taylor
out as
jersey.
much as you can.
I think he wanted a Thomas Taylor jersey. I think I owe him that. Hit me up if I haven't done that because I don't remember,
Please,
to be
Doc.
honest.
Please,
I'm really
Doc, so you
sorry.
can get that jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, no, you're good, man. You're good. So you got any questions, man?
No, I'm good. I really appreciate you having me on and keep doing what you're doing. It's a lot of fun doing the podcast. Yes, I do. Thank you. I
There
will
we
get
go.
that. I'm so sorry. Please do me a favor, please, right now. Will you email me at ryan@thecoachesshow.live and I will get with Thomas tomorrow morning. I know he had one because I talked to him before World
Mhm.
Cup, I believe. He had one. Maybe he still has one. If he doesn't, I'll get you a different one of his. Send me an email, please, as a reminder. I'll use it as a placeholder to nag me in my Outlook. So I'm so sorry, man.
If you want to, I'll even send it to him, the email, and that way it will give to him.
Awesome.
So that way, he has it.
Perfect.
Thank you
Well,
for
man,
coming on the show, man.
I
Really
really
appreciate it.
appreciate you having me on. And thanks for, let me tell a little bit of my story and talking a little bit about Tampa and the Red Legion and all the fun shit we have going on. If you guys have, as a side note, if you guys have like kick-ass young talent around there that you think I should be watching, make sure to send me something on social media with a name and APPA number and their social media tag if you have it. If you don't have their social media tag, it'd be really hard for me to kind of go find them. But with their APPA, I can see what kind of events they're playing and then maybe try to find a way to slip them into my viewing schedule.
Yeah, as well as everybody, make sure you catch the coaches show when you see Ryan and Bianca talking about the life or the how to run as a coach. As well as you're at the event and I think it's the day before the event, y'all host the coaches show kind of meeting or something like that.
No, we do. No. So the Monday before the event, we do a pre-show where myself, Mike Bianca, Shane Pastana, and Kevin Bredthauer go through each one of the brackets. We kind of
Hmm.
talk about what's going on with the team, where they finished at the last event, any changes that they've potentially made. And then we make picks for the top 10 who's going to be playing on Sunday. Um,
Okay.
and then on Thursday, after the event, we have the winning coach on and we talk through kind of the event and the finals. A lot of times we will break down the finals match. However, we didn't do that at this event just because we had so much stuff to talk about on Thursday with the stadium show and all the things. We will get to that. I did kind of verbally break it down and talk about some of the key moments from the game. and some of the key points. But yeah, man, it's the coaches show is full of great, like, usable content that you can take home to your team and put things to work. Talk a lot about methodology and processes and things that you need to be focused on. And I'm introducing some new content to it where we're talking more about the wave and this up tempo style of play. And all of that comes from the Red Legion school.
It like you said, y'all, watch out for the coaches show because you're gonna get some information. And if y'all don't get that information, then
It's your fault.
you're at, yeah, you're you're out of luck. But thank you, Ryan, for coming on the show, man. And I'll catch you later, bud.
Thanks, Zach. Have a great night.
You too. All right, y'all. That is Ryan Gray or Coach Ryan from Red Legion, as well as all the coaches show. And you know, that was a great show. Really appreciate everybody liking the video, sharing the video, subscribing, and make sure that, we grow Louisiana paintball in general, and this podcast in general. So I want to thank everybody who supports the podcast, supports the show, all to our sponsors, um, NOLA Paintball, Paint Paintball Republic. Sorry that y'all lost, your rainbow bankruptcy. So there's a shout out to you guys. So I hope y'all have a good future endeavor. But Paintball Command, Charm City, AP to Photography, Sandu Photography, LAX, all of our sponsors. Thank y'all. And I'll see y'all guys in the next episode of the Paintball Lounge. Y'all have a good night and be safe.